Hi and welcome. My name is Stephanie and today I have a quick and easy standing prenatal yoga class to share with you. In today's class, we're going to focus on our lower back, so stretching and strengthening that region of our body, specifically to try and address some of the prenatal posture issues that tend to crop up as we get further along in our pregnancies. I am currently 32 weeks with baby number 3, so this class is safe for women in their 3rd trimester, but women in their 1st or 2nd trimester can also participate safely. You don't need any props to do today's class, but if you have some blocks, I always recommend grabbing them. If you do have some blocks available, then I recommend bringing them to the front of your mat so they'll be accessible for class. When you're ready, we're going to begin in a mountain pose. I'm going to show you this from the side. We're going to start with a wider base, so have your feet at least hips width distance apart, maybe even a little bit wider. You want to make sure that you feel secure through your feet, you feel balanced, and you feel like you have enough space for baby. You also want to make sure that your knees are not locked, so they're nice and loose here. You can kind of wiggle a little bit side to side just to make sure. Take a moment to just check the posture of your upper body as well. Make sure your chin is not jutting forward, your shoulders aren't rounding. We don't have any of that tech neck here. Our head is over our neck, which is over our shoulders. Our shoulders are pulled back. Our chest is open. Our shoulders are directly over our hips. Hips over our knees. Again, those knees are nice and loose and not locked. And our knees are over our ankles. From here, let's bring our hands to our hips. We're going to imagine that our hips are a bucket of water. So our pelvic region is a bucket of water. And notice if your bucket is leaning forward. This happens to a lot of women in pregnancy. As our belly grows bigger, we tend to have a lot of weight pulling our body forward. So we get this aggressive C curve in the spine. A little bit of a curvature is totally normal and totally natural. It's when it gets really aggressive and you start kind of like walking with your butt sticking out behind you, almost like you're a duck, that you want to address the issue. So notice if that's you. If your pelvis is tilted forward, if all of the water is spilling out of your bucket, then try and bring it back to a neutral position. You don't want any water spilling in any direction out of your bucket. Again, like a little bit of a curve in your spine is normal. It's just that if you have that really aggressive C curve that you want to address it. From here, let's breathe in through our nose. And as we exhale, we're going to tuck our tailbone under. So we're going to tuck our pelvis in the opposite direction. If our hips are a bucket of water, now all the water is spilling out down the back body. We're going to hold here for 3 to 5 seconds total before inhaling back to that neutral position. Good. We'll hold here for our inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to tilt our pelvis backwards. So imagine you're a dog. You're very sad now. You're tucking your tail between your legs. Your tailbone is now tucked under. Holding here for 3 to 5 seconds. And then inhaling back to neutral. Good. Hold here for your inhale in this neutral position. And as you exhale, tuck your pelvis under, allowing the water to spill out your bucket, down your back body. You're a very sad dog. I don't know what you did to upset your owners, but you're sad now. And then inhale back to neutral. And exhale, take that pelvic tilt, that posterior pelvic tilt. Good. We're going to keep moving here, cycling through neutral position on our inhales. And taking that posterior pelvic tilt on our exhales. We'll take a total of 10 pelvic tilts together. So we have about 6 more to go. Inhaling through a neutral position. And exhaling in that posterior pelvic tilt, engaging our glutes, engaging our core, and holding here for the full length of our exhale, about 3 to 5 seconds. Good, let's do 5 more. Inhaling through neutral. And exhaling with that posterior pelvic tilt. This is a really good exercise to strengthen the pelvic floor. It's also a really good exercise to address some posture issues in the lower back. Inhaling back through neutral. And exhaling with our posterior pelvic tilt. So this exercise is a really great way to strengthen the lower back, address some of those posture issues, especially if you find yourself kind of doing that duck walk where you're not in a neutral position, but your spine is, or your pelvis is actually in that interior pelvic tilt, which we don't want. Inhaling through neutral and exhaling with that posterior pelvic tilt. Let's do 3 more together. I lost count. We might end up doing 11, but that's okay. Inhaling through neutral. And exhaling with our tail between our legs, holding for 3 to 5 seconds. Our glutes are engaged, our core muscles are engaged. Good. 2 more. Inhaling through our neutral pelvic tilt. And exhaling with that posterior pelvic tilt. 1 more. Inhaling through neutral. And exhaling with that posterior pelvic tilt. Engaging our glutes, engaging our core, sort of waking up our lower back and our pelvic region. Good. On your next inhale, let's come back to neutral. I'll show you from the front now. We're actually going to step our feet wide, so even wider than before. And we're going to turn our toes out so that they're pointed at the corners of our mat. From here, we'll inhale the arms up. And as we exhale, we'll sink down into our goddess pose. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, sink down into our goddess pose. One more time. Inhale, arms up. And as you exhale, sink down into goddess. Take a moment to check your knees are tracking in the same direction as your feet. Your thighs are parallel to the ground or as near to parallel as you can get. Good. From here, we'll inhale the arms up, holding that goddess pose. As you exhale, let's bring our right arm to our right leg and take a nice side body stretch here. Our left arm is reaching out over the head. Our bicep is by our ear. We're feeling a nice stretch through the left side body. Good. Hold for 1 more breath. And on your next inhale, let's come back to our regular goddess pose. Let's inhale the arms up overhead. And as you exhale, this time let's bring our left arm to our left leg. And our right arm reaches out and up overhead. Our right bicep is by our ear. We're enjoying a nice side body stretch here. Your thighs might be burning a little bit, mama. We are holding this goddess pose for a little bit. But just remember, you're pregnant. You can do hard things. You're growing a human, and that is plenty hard. 1 more inhale here. And a long exhale. Good. Let's inhale back to our neutral goddess and come back up to standing. You can heel toe your feet in together. Back to that hips width distance stance. From here, let's inhale the arms up overhead. Interlace the fingers. You might push the palms so that they're pointed towards the ceiling. Again, making sure your base is nice and wide here and your knees are loose. We're going to take some around the worlds. So take your hands over to the right side first, moving in a clockwise direction. You're going to come down to the side. And then you're going to sweep the arms out in front of you, all the way around the world to the left side. Where you inhale back up to neutral. We'll take 1 more in this direction, bringing the arms down the right side of your body to a flat back position, bringing your hands across the front of your mat, all the way around the world to the left side of your mat, and then inhaling back up to neutral. You can release the hands, take a moment to rest here, and we'll take that over to the other side. Inhale the arms up overhead, interlace the fingers, press the palms, but they're pointed towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, bring the hands down the left side, this time finding that flat back or nearly flat back position, and then sweeping the arms out in front, all the way around the world to the right side, before coming back up to standing and neutral. Last time, let's bring the arms down the left side. Sweep the arms around the front of our mat, coming over to our right side, and then inhaling back up to neutral. Release the hands here, and come back to our mountain pose. Let's take a moment to check in with our posture, making sure, again, that we don't have any of that tech neck, rounded shoulders. Making sure that we haven't fallen back into that anterior pelvic tilt. We're keeping a neutral spine and a neutral pelvis. From here, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. And as we exhale, we'll sink our hips back, bringing our hands to prayer pose as we drop back into chair. In this first chair, let's just take a moment to notice our knees are over our feet. Our weight is back in our heels. We should be able to lift our toes. Check to see if you have a neutral spine or if you're finding yourself going back into that anterior pelvic tilt. If so, take a moment to bring your pelvic back to neutral, to bring your pelvis back to neutral, sorry. From here, let's inhale back up to mountain. And as we exhale, let's sink back into chair. Good. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, sink down into chair. This is a really great way, inhale, mountain, to just strengthen our pelvic floor. Exhale, chair. And again, strengthen that lower back. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, chair. All of which is going to help improve any posture issues we may be suffering from. Inhale, mountain. And exhale, chair. This is our 5th one. We're going to do 5 more, but just take a moment to pause here. Check in on your spine. See if you've fallen into that anterior pelvic tilt again. If so, let's come back to neutral. Check your knees. Check your weight distribution. We want our weight back in our heels. Good. And as we inhale, let's come back up, mountain. Exhale, chair. 4 more. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, sink down into chair. Hands in prayer. Inhale, stand up, mountain pose with arms overhead. Exhale, let's come to chair. Good, 2 more. Inhale, rise up, mountain pose, arms up. Exhale, sink back down into your chair pose. Last one, inhale, rise up. And as you exhale, sink down into your chair. We'll hold here for 3 breaths. Again, just taking a self-check on our posture, making sure our pelvis is in a neutral position. Inhaling here. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Again, mama, a reminder, you can do hard things. I know chair can be tough sometimes. Let's take one more inhale here. And as you exhale, fold forward. So instead of rising back up, we're going to bring our feet about as wide as our yoga mat, taking a really wide stance here. We're going to come down into our forward fold. So when we're pregnant, we want our hands and our gaze to both be out in front of our feet in forward fold. You can bend the knees as generously as you need to. If you have those yoga blocks, you can grab them and use them to bring the ground up to you, keeping both the blocks and your gaze maybe 12 to 18 inches in front of your toes. Good. From here, let's rise up to halfway lift. And as we exhale, bend the knees, drop the gaze, coming back into our forward fold. From our forward fold, we're going to step our left toes back, finding our warrior legs. Again, if you have those blocks, you can bring them with you. Maybe place your right block right next to your right foot. As you inhale, straighten that right leg. Again, if you don't have blocks, that's fine. You can still straighten the right leg, keeping your right hand on the ground or on your shin. And as you inhale, we'll open up the left arm to the sky, taking our T-arms and finding our triangle pose. Again, without blocks, your hand could be on the ground, could be on your shin, could even be on your thigh. Take whatever variation of triangle is accessible for you today. Inhaling through our nose and exhaling with a long sigh. We'll hold here for one more inhale. And on our next exhale, we'll bring both our hands back to the mat and step back up into our forward fold. From here, we're going to inhale and step our right toes back. We're getting ready to take triangle on the other side. If you have those blocks, you can bring them with you. As you begin to straighten that front leg, and inhale the right arm up to the sky, finding triangle on the other side. Inhaling through our nose here, and with long, slow exhales. Take one more inhale here. And as we exhale, we'll bring both our hands back to the mat, finding our forward fold one more time. Again, your stance should be wide here. As we inhale, let's rise up to our halfway lift. And as we exhale, let's bend the knees, sink the hips back, almost like we're coming into chair pose. And as we take our next inhale, we'll roll back up to mountain. And that's it for today's quick and easy standing prenatal yoga class. I hope today's class helped you address any posture issues you may have been experiencing, or at least just bring a little bit more awareness to your posture. It can often get out of whack during pregnancy, so it can be helpful just to become mindful of how you're standing. At the very least, I hope today's class helped you move your body a little bit in a way that felt good. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more prenatal and motherhood content like this. I hope to see and practice with you again soon. Bye!